Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of FinTech Fridays. I've got a return guest with me today, Spencer Dusebout. Spencer is the founder and chief executive officer at Aidium. Spencer, welcome back.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
I'm thinking, if memory serves me right, when we talked the first time on this show, I think it might have been before you rebranded the company, or right around the same time, somewhere right around there.
Yeah, so that's been, for like about a year and a half. I mean, it feels like 10 years, but yeah, it's been a little while, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good place to start, though, because, I'm usually a pretty fast learner. And as I was looking at the company name again, and I see you guys all over the place, by the way, congratulations. Talk to me about Aidium, like the name Aidium. Where did that come from? I think I might have an idea based on a couple of the letters that are in there, but tell me about where that name came from.
Yeah, so we were originally Daily AI, and really Daily AI was that end-to-end solution for the top producer in a way, right? Where, a lot of these producers were taking like 5 systems, kind of trying to jerry rig them together to really create a great end-to-end experience. And so Daily AI was designed to be kind of that all-in-one for the top producer. And I think one of the things that we recognized as we started getting top producers at, most mortgage companies, is that there was a disconnect between what the enterprise wanted and what the producers wanted. The enterprise wants they want control, branding, marketing. The producer says, I want it to sound like me. I have a unique way that I do things, right? And so we recognized that there was just this disconnect between the needs of the enterprise and the producer. And so, ADM, kind of the rebrand, new updates in the product and UI has really all been around like, how do we bridge the gap between the enterprise and the producers? And, kind of staying true to our roots with Daily AI. ADM, it's AI, DM, daily in Latin, and then AI. So kind of a little play on words there, and some other fun stuff too, right? ADM refers to kind of like a sort of like an apex in like the insect world, hence sort of the bee, our mascot. And so there's a number of things there. I wish I could take credit for it. Really, there's just some smart creative people that said we like this as an option. I was like, I agree. I think this is great. So yeah.
Yeah, if the creatives left it to guys like you and I to come up with branding and logos, it would be a lot of stick figures and probably some whacked out weird stuff out there.
Yeah, it is a gift. You either have it or you don't. And I don't.
I'm with you. Although I like to brag sometimes about my Canva skills until I'll hand over a draft of what I was working on to Diana and my team, and then when it comes back, I'm like, I don't even recognize this. What happened here?
Yeah, Canva makes it for people like you and I, like things like passable, right? It's like we went from like a D- to like a C+, but
that's right.
Yeah, exactly.
So you guys have I'm seeing you everywhere, not just on the conference circuit, so to speak, but you're coming up in a lot of conversations that we're having with producers and lenders alike. And, it feels like from my seat outside of your, walls, that there's some cool stuff that's been happening with the company, with the business. Tell us a little bit about what's been going on here in 2024 with the business and really, again, just kind of reiterating on who you really serve and serve well today.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's been a formative year for us on the product side. I mean, so I'm a product guy, kind of technical by nature, and so that's really the things that I get super excited about. And so we've done a lot this year, and I think we've really honed in on what's the value prop that we're bringing and what's the need that we're solving. And we've kind of built and launched some new modules and products around that. And so for us, I think it has been that bridge concept, which is how do we give the enterprise the control that they need? How do we give them marketing and branding that they need while also giving the producers autonomy, where it almost feels like it's their solution in a way and they can do things their way. And so I think we've had a solution that's done a pretty good job at that. And so I think for us, it's been great. How do we get this in the hands of lenders and ensure that their producers are really using it to the fullest extent? And so I think one of the things that we've been very focused on this year has been this data concept, which is, I think enterprises really want to help their producers level up and do more. I mean, it's in everyone's best interest, right? For that to happen. And one of the things we've started to see is we get, if you have mortgage company A that has 5 CRM systems, is it leads to data silos where it's like data is everywhere, right? So then the enterprise is like, well, I want to help this person do better, but like, how? Where do I start? I don't even know how they're doing really today, other than what's in the LOS, right? And so us being able to bring people and bring data into one spot has allowed us to really sit with, our customers and prospective customers and say, look, here's the things that are working really well. Here's the things that aren't working so well. Like maybe this region, for whatever reason, they're getting a lot of great leads, but they're not converting them at all, right? And so this is a way that you can really help them level up. And so I think we've kind of something that's working around this concept of you take the data, you understand what's working, what's not working. We use the automation to help improve things. And, there's kind of a new AI product, which we talk about, which is trying to supercharge that in a way. And then really what that leads to is broad adoption, because we have these reports that are showing producers like, this is working. Like you were converting X, now you're converting Y. You were spending all this time doing these things. Now this is automated for you. And so that leads to them leaning in and using it a little bit more, right? And so I think it's kind of, we're starting to see this, I know it's a cliche word, but it's what we're going for, the flywheel effect, where it's like, you have these 4 things and the more people are using it, then the more data you get, and the more you can automate, the more the AI, it works better with more data, right? And then the more value people are getting. And so that's kind of that circle we're looking to create. And it's been exciting to build with a lot of our customers this year and make some great strides on that for sure.
Yeah, I love the flywheel terminology. It's somewhere over here. I've got the my Good to Great book, and we talk a lot about the getting that flywheel going. We're still at FinLocker. We're still, I think we've graduated from the startup phase and we're in this scale up, phase. And one of the things that we really kind of hammer on internally is finding that flywheel effect with each user of our product, because I think there's a lot of similarities in that we know when a loan officer, gets 5, 10, 15 consumers in the FinLocker app and things start happening, when the consumer starts doing things and connecting things in the app, data and insights surface. Those inevitably start flowing into the loan officer. The light bulb goes off usually pretty quickly, and they're like, oh, wait a minute, I can see this, and I know when this is going to happen, and this is teeing me up for this next best conversation. So I think there's a ton of parallels in the way we're thinking about that flywheel, the way you're putting that in motion today. I'd love to just brainstorm a little bit with you on, or not brainstorm, but really dive into some of the insights and I guess some of the insights you're providing back to your users based on the activities and things that are happening inside the data set.
No, and I love that. And I'm sure you see the same thing we do too, which is there are some loan officers where they see it, they right away, they have they're like, I get it, right? I'm all in on this. And then a lot of them are super busy, right? And it's like, how do you get their attention to be like, I'm going to put time and energy into this, especially as there's been a lot of overpromises and a lot of shiny objects thrown around in our space without really providing much value. And so I think we see the same thing as you, where it's like, there's some skeptics or just people that are maybe not going to invest the time quite yet. And so, what's that aha moment where you get their attention? And one of the things that we've done is we built out this whole reporting suite. So it's pretty easy to look at the sales funnel and say, what's your lead to app ratio, your app to funded, let's say funded to recapture, or kind of with our AI piece, like who are the people that are most likely to transact in your database. And so to kind of put that data in front of them, right, where once a week they're getting an email saying, hey, your lead to app is less than the company you're with. You click this button, we'll activate these automations that are going to increase it, right? What we find is without fail, it gets ignored the first time, always, right? And I get it, right? Because how many emails do we get, right? That we just, delete or, okay, that's interesting. But it's like the 4th, 5th, 6th time they're seeing that, it's like, you know what? Fine. I'm going to click the button. I'm going to do this. And they do it. And then it's being able to show, hey, you did this. This is what it's doing for you. Like this week we engaged 10 applications on your behalf that maybe stalled out halfway through the application process. Or this week we engaged the 10 people most likely to purchase in your database based on our propensity modeling. And here's the engagement you got from that. And so I think that is key. I think data, it's like, how do you change behavior? And you know this, you're both the loan officer and the consumer side, right? And it's how do you change behavior? I think data is a path. I think there's multiple paths. I'm curious if you all kind of see data as a path too, because that's something we've seen that can work.
Yeah, and maybe we stumbled across it, just to be, honest and vulnerable at the same time. When we first started out, we were hyper focused, and rightfully so, on the consumer experience from a feature function perspective. And the good news is, or the great news is, we've assembled this incredible tool with all this great feature rich stuff in it, right? What we realized, though, after building all these features and scratching our head, why weren't the consumers using these the way we thought they were going to use them? And so we started to use the data, the insights, to uncover perhaps where the gap was, or what we needed to address. And as we started uncovering data just for our own consumption and use, it became like super obvious that maybe if we put some of this back in front of the consumer, that's a whole different feature set and a whole different set of insights. And perhaps if they saw this and understood it, they would do these 3 things next, whatever those 3 things are. And so we started to do that with the data that we would see inside the app. And they started doing things that we thought they were going to do, which was great. We took it to the next level and said, well, if we're using this to show the consumer what their next best thing is, we probably ought to be thinking about our customer, which is the lender loan officer. And so we basically have built this infrastructure that gives the consumer the visibility at a very granular level on everything about their financial life as it relates to home ownership. And then we take it a layer up and give visibility to the loan officer. And the point here is, and I think it's the same thing you guys saw, is once we've exposed and made that available and actually pushed it out in the form of alerts, it did change behavior. It has changed the behavior of both the consumer and our client, the loan officer. And that's an iteration that we're going to, continue to work on. I'm really excited about opportunities for our platforms to engage, because the data that we have at the consumer level is very live, if you will. It's like it's real-time data and activities and alerts. And I can only imagine the impact of that additional layer of data to feed your propensity models on, taking in intent signals from, the app and now layering it into your model, really tee up a engaging, meaningful conversation for your LOs with those consumers.
Oh yeah, no, it would supercharge it in a major way. I think there's so much synergy there, and us passing back data to you all too around what we're seeing. Because we're looking at like 5,000 data points. You're kind of getting the source of truth, right? Because they're actually doing it, and we're more kind of trying to create that 360 view of like, what's going on in this person's life, or right. What's their shopping habits look like, or are they opening credit cards, all those things. And so combine it, I think you can really get, you could get some pretty amazing insights and predictions around what they're going to do for sure. No, it's super cool. And I think what I love too about what you're talking about is, I think we kind of have a similar mindset where, FinLocker is successful to the extent that you get consumers using it and you get loan officers seeing the value. I think that we have a similar mindset, which is, look, the more we're going to drive more success, the more people use it and the more data we get. But that's not always shared by, software companies, right? Like if you think of course, it's a great product and they're big enough that it doesn't matter. But like you think about something like a Salesforce, it's like, good luck.
Yeah.
Take it, build. It might work for you, it might not. Like, but hey, good luck. And so I love the energy that you all have around saying, no, like we We're not just saying, no, here it is, good luck. It's like, no, like we're going to work really hard. And I think people, once I think loan officers can, see that, I think they tend to respond to it. It's like, oh, you're sending this email to turn on these things because you actually are trying to get me to do more. And, I think people like that. They're not
Yeah.
always used to it, I guess.
And something that it just popped in my head as we were talking, and it's very relevant in this market. We hear about this all the time is, what does the next generation loan officer look like? How do they show up for the next generation home buyer? And, it's very evident to me when I look at the scoreboard of who's winning from an origination perspective. It's the cohort of originators that are very much a relationship oriented, consultant versus a transactional type of order taker, right? And when you start talking about the insights, the propensity models that you all are working on, the layers and layers of data that you can surface up in real time in a meaningful way for a loan officer, hopefully loan officers are understanding that all of that data makes the relationship aspect of what they do that much stronger because it puts context around conversations. And I'm just curious from a product perspective, as you guys think about the product, are those kind of themes that, maybe run through your head as you're developing out the future roadmap?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with kind of big data, you never want to seem big brother,
Yes.
right? It needs to be in the context of a relationship. And so to give you an example, like let's say someone's opened up more credit cards and their shopping habits have gone up and their home value has gone up dramatically. If you were just looking at rates, maybe they locked a low rate back in 2021, but they're a great cash out refi opportunity, right? And so, we're going to surface that for you. Like, no guarantee, but hey, this is someone that is much more likely than the average person to be interested in something like this. And so, you don't go to them and say, hey, I realize like you might be tapping your credit a little bit and you have
Right.
equity in the home, let me help you, right? It's you don't say that. It's more of a just, hey, look, like, it's a difficult market, to navigate. There's a lot of noise. I'm checking in with all my customers to just, all my past clients to see how I can help. There's a lot of options from, certain resources around purchasing to refinancing to pulling cash out because people's homes have gone up. I know you built a while ago, like, bought it, in 21. So, just want to see how I can help and let you know what options are. Someone's, and sometimes it's, you see responses where someone's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Like, I was just thinking about this. And it feels
Right.
like that. But most of the time it's not, right? Because most of the time we're seeing this stuff even a little bit ahead of when the borrower is really thinking about it. And so then it comes into interesting. Well, maybe let's chat. I'd be interested to hear more. And so, but I think you're right. It's the more trust and rapport there is, and the more the LO can offer value and come at it from that angle, the better it is. I mean, I think, people like you and I who've been in this industry, I mean, there's still a lot of stuff about home ownership that I don't know. And that's like, if
Right.
someone's offering to help me with different structures and opportunities, I mean, I think sometimes it's easy for LOs or people who've been in the industry for a while to think like, oh, this is simple. I've done 1,000 transactions. I know people know how it works. Like, people do not know how this works. And it's, even if they bought one home, they don't understand the breadth of optionality that they can have with that. And so I think just coming at it from that perspective is so critical.
Yeah, I think we're finally, not finally, but I think this period of elevated interest rates where more of the transactions happening in the business are purchase versus refi. I think since it's been going on for almost 24 months plus now, I do feel like the mindset of the average loan officer is now in a mindset where it's less about the quote unquote easy refis and more about, consulting and understanding each situation and then packaging a solution around that person's situation where, in a rate term refi environment, it's kind of one size fits all, literally.
Right.
And so I think that mindset's there finally.
Are you finding that, this past year, like you've gotten a lot more engagement from companies and LOs because of that, where they're saying like, we have the time and energy, but we get it now. Like what you were saying 3 years ago, like we really get it
Yeah.
now and need it.
Yeah. I talk about this with our team and others, but it feels like in the last 6 months in particular for FinLocker, we have more inbound activity than we've ever had. And it is people that are saying, we get it. we now understand that a couple things have been in our favor. The fact that, there's this elevated interest rates, there's a lack of inventory. So you just have this pool of prospective first-time home buyers, especially, that just keeps, growing. And then any of those first-time home buyers, their timeline, if it used to be 120 days, it's 2 or 3x that now, just because of affordability and inventory. And so it's not enough to pre-qual somebody and then figure out, how do I stay meaningfully engaged with them for the next 9 months while they either sharpen up their finances a little bit or find a home, right? And so we become kind of that place, if you will, that kind of sits between the roll up your sleeves, hardcore engagement that loan officers still need to do, by the way, and the automation that can happen with a platform like Aidium. We kind of sit right in the middle of that, and kind of, I call it like experiential engagement, where the consumers, engaging with you as an originator on things like their credit score, their debt to income ratio, the change in their balance as it relates to their savings goals, things like that. So yeah, I think the mindset's there. We still have to overcome the fact that a lot of lenders and LOs are still struggling. And while the mindset may be there, the budget's not quite there yet, but we're working through that.
Yeah. And hopefully, good things to come for the industry and 25 on that front for sure. Yeah, that's so interesting. And I'm always fascinated about trends in a way with technology, and how, it's just, you could be right, but but you're trying to swim upstream, or
Right.
There's a headwind and it doesn't matter, versus you could be totally wrong. Right. I mean, and we saw this, right? In 21, there's new products in mortgage that don't exist today, but got hot and did well. And so
Right.
it's, I was just so fascinated by that. And, but I think, I think there's a tailwind for you all, even with the consumer, where it's like, okay, it actually matters, like my DTI a little bit, like I got to get this down 2 points. Right. And, yeah, I can totally see that being a hugely helpful trend for sure.
Well, Spencer, it's always great to catch up with you. I know we got to spend a little bit of time, not enough, but a little bit of time together at MBA Annual. And I appreciate you sharing, a little bit more about Aidium with our audience. And once again, looking forward to doing some pretty cool things together down the road.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's put it out there in the universe, and to our teams who might be listening, right? Let's make it happen quickly. Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Yeah. Great to come back.
Thanks everybody for tuning in this week. Join us back in 2 weeks for another episode of FinTech Fridays. See y'all.